What are we going to do if there is actually a World War III? What is up, winning team? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my funeral. This is my funeral. This is the series I'm doing today, where I'm just telling you guys all the things that I would say if this was my last day of living. Because you know what? Life's too long for me to keep holding back everything I have to say. Not too short, because it's not short enough. It's too long, and I just need to get these things off my chest because I got so much to say. And now we're here, so that's what we're doing, okay? Okay, World War III. So you guys, you know what? This is one of those topics that I know, like with people, like you can't really talk about because nobody wants to talk about the uncomfortable thing because, oh my goodness, whether that actually happens, I don't want to have to think about it. But the thing is, if it does happen, then you're going to have to think about it. And would you not prefer to be prepared rather than just be standing there in shock? Because that's the way I see it, and this is what I think about these things. You know what I'm saying? And it's quite deep when I think about it, because you guys know how I've kind of told you about how this friend and this guy who just moved back to where he comes from for the sake of joining the army. Well, one of the main things we used to talk about, and why I so appreciated our conversations we'd be having all the time, is we used to talk about the impending possibility of World War III, or just war in general. What is going on? Is this like a vein? Is this like a, what is this? Is she always here? Have we always been in the room? We've always been in the room, but I just wanted to stay in the womb. But now I'm here. So here's the thing about that. So we always used to talk about that. This is one of the things we used to talk about. We used to talk about, this is why I was so valued my relationship, because he would always be telling me about, explaining to me about what's happening in all the countries of the world, right, at the minute, because then I wouldn't have to watch the news. I hate the news, and we both hate the news, and he knows the news is nonsense, but he, you know, whatever. And low-key, I think that the fact that he and me both genuinely foresee this as something that could very well happen in the short term, I think that's why he's like, well, where am I going to be when this all goes down? Which I was like, at least somebody's got an idea, because I don't know what the hell I'm going to be, because I don't respect nowhere. I don't respect nowhere. I don't respect nothing. I don't think any nation in the world right now is looking like the nation I want to win. The nation I think is like, none of them. And this is one of the things that's been stressing me out, because I'm like, it eventually is going to get there. Like, war is actually inevitable. Like, war is always going to be inevitable with us as humans, because people are always after, you know, the temptation trio of the devil, right? Money, power, and fame. And when people get power, they then want to keep extending it, like it doesn't end, right? Like, well, so for example, and guys, listen, whatever I'm about to say about the politics, take it with a pinch of salt, okay? I'm not keeping up with the politics because it's all just the same nonsense, but every here and there, I end up finding things out. Excuse me, why am I actually... But the other day, apparently, anyway, I heard that apparently Donald Trump is on a bit of a power trip, in my opinion, and he has been, like, when I saw the power trip this man has been on, I was just like, we're screwed. Like, the world is screwed. Like, it was not even like I ever did believe in him as such, but it's just like, we're really... Because I heard apparently bro wants to try and take over Canada. Bro was all renaming countries. And I was just like, oh, here we go again. Like, every time people have power, it's like they see... Because how is what he's doing and what he's been doing any different to Vladimir Putin and the Ukraine situation? Tell me. Tell me. How is that even any different to the whole Israel-Palestine thing either? How is any of this any different to anywhere? I was watching this anime, yeah? I watched a few animes. And the animes that I watched, yeah, I was trying to take a break, right, guys? I've been trying to take a break the last few days, and it didn't end how I wanted it to, right? Because I was trying to take a break. I was trying to take a break. I was trying to sleep. And, well, outside of work, I was trying to avoid anything. I didn't want to know anything. Somebody is drilling, apparently, next door. Who lives this side of my house? Which neighbours are the... Oh, yeah. Oh. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was just remembering their neighbours that used to have chickens, and there's no chickens anymore. That's really unfortunate. And guess what? I don't care. I was watching these animes anyway. Yeah. And I was trying to escape. I was trying to engage in escapism. Why in the hell did every single one of these animes, yeah? And I watched... Okay, I watched 4. I think I watched 4 anime. Because I finished Classroom of the Elite. I watched season 2 and 3. I watched Gachakuta, which was only 1 season. Lord of the Mysteries, Code Geass. Yeah, I watched all those 4 anime. And not all in just in the last few days, but like in the last like a week or two, whatever. Anyway, and why it was in those as well as in other animes as well as in other TV programs, this consistent thing of like what will happen in different things. So when in Code Geass, right? I'm gonna try not to spoil it, but basically it all starts in Britannia. So like everywhere I go, I can't get away from the realities of where I'm at, right? But in this show, Britannia has taken over Japan because they won whatever. They've taken they own all of the United States. They don't actually have the current islands that is the United Kingdom in the show, but they have all of the United States, all these countries, and China's the other one who also has a lot of the countries in the world. And then they've taken over Japan, but the people in Japan in Code Geass, they're not called Japanese, they're called 11s, they're numbers, Area 11, and they're seen as like the dirt scumbags. They're not allowed, they're like whatever. So even in like the army and stuff, they can join the army, but they can't be like come like the highest level or whatever because they're just the dirt scumbag. And you know what I was thinking when I was watching this, yeah? I was thinking, this is what we don't realize as humans, is that like a lot of the things we're talking about at a surface level, like at a just us guys as humans level, oh my gosh, my back is hurting, hold on a minute. Is that like a lot of our issues, right? They seem like issues, but they're not, right? I'm going somewhere with this. Follow with me, please. Please stay with me. So like, as far as the people are concerned in the show, it's like to the Japanese people, they feel like they are experiencing obviously racism and all of this classism and whatever. But that's not what they're actually experiencing, in the same way that like a lot of Black folks today see, you know, whatever was happening in yesteryear, in yester empires and so what and so forth. Because I'm like, who's going to be the next empire? Throughout history, there's always been an empire. So somebody's trying to build an empire and someone's going to have one. And that empire is going to be as the result of probably war and whoever conquers. You know what I realized from doing all this history? I noticed this when I was researching like about the 400 years between the Old and New Testament of the Bible, that there's always somebody with an empire. And every time somebody reigns over a place or runs a place, they always enslave the initial people that were there, because that's their way of keeping power. We even see that in the Bible. The Israelites, because they were so powerful after Joseph, right? Joseph had helped Pharaoh, interpreted the dream. Pharaoh was like, oh my gosh, you saved everybody, you saved all of Egypt, everything. The next Pharaoh was like, these people have got to become a threat. I'm going to enslave them. That's how they became slaves, right? He was scared of their power, right? And he was scared as a threat to his own power because he knew what happened in the yester Pharaoh, right? So none of this, not the transatlantic slave trade, not this issue that was happening in Code Geass, and not things in Egypt, were to do with racism and classism. It was all to do with maintaining power and keeping power in the hands of the people who wanted to keep the power, right? Just like how it is today. That's why, especially growing up in this country, that's why I find it so fascinating. One thing I realized is that the thing that scares me in a way about England, above other countries, England specifically, I want to be very clear that when I'm talking about this country, I really am talking about England. I'm talking about the UK, because I have different thoughts about Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. Ireland, Wales, and Scotland, right? I have different feelings about them because they also have their own kinds of different histories, right? You know, once upon a time, the Irish were treated just like the blacks here. That wasn't even an Irish accent. How do I do it? I haven't had a proper Irish accent in so long. You know what I mean? Because they used to have like in the pubs, no, what is it? No Irish, no blacks, no dogs on the signs, right? A lot of this stuff was maintained, and there was a time in history when there was only like 2 million. The population of Ireland, I think, was 2 million, and 1 million of them moved to America. So a lot of the white people in America have Irish heritage for that reason. Anywho. And also, think about it. Is it a surprise that the so-called like main character countries of the world, like the UKs, the USAs of it all, are like the babiest countries, like the youngest ones? Because they're the most recent ones that had a bit of a tiffle-taffle. You know what I'm saying? And all this, the reign of whatever. But anywho, what I learned from growing up in this country, particularly England, is that it's not even that there's even racism here. What it is that the people in power, particularly the royal family, want to keep their position. So when everybody was like all upset about Meghan Markle, I don't think the issues with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were anything to do with anything other than them wanting to keep the power in their hands. Because let's not forget, all England, France, Scotland, all these, like a lot of these central countries, Germany, they're pretty much all the same family, right? And they want to keep their power amongst themselves. So all this Meghan Markle, the thing is, they don't want a black child. What they really don't want is they don't want a people that they can't control in their bloodline, because they want to hold on to the power within the bloodline. They want to hold on to the power. It's all about power. Everything here that's happening is about power. It's not about racism. It's not about whatever. You know what I'm saying? So again, even with the when it comes to things like, you know, the transatlantic slave trade, it was all just the different powers of the world using their powers as they could, right? So Africa, they had a lot of things to give. They were also prepared to sell their own people. So they did such. Those people then got treated however. The people that sent them didn't care. They got the people saw value in what they were being trading for. They were trading in, you know, guns, and the fact that guns and alcohol were two of the main things that were being traded for the sake of people. That's what was brought to Africa is insane. Can I just like to say that? Not to say that things like that didn't already exist, but the fact that that was one of the biggest things is kind of really kind of crazy. Like this is really what my ancestors, well, some of people's ancestors, whatever, was deciding to do these days. Crazy. Anywho, so that's what they were doing. My back is really hurting, and it's literally because I'm bloated. Anyway, we'll stretch. You know what? I'll take a minute. So my thinking is, anyway, we'll circle back because I'm just yibbity yabbiting. My thinking now is, it's inevitable that this is going to happen again, because it's going to become another power thing. Like on all these shows I watch, it's like not just even in anime, but in world, all these concepts. Because I think all the time, well, what would have happened if this person won in World War I instead of that one, or this person won in World War II? The Handmaid's Tale was the same. In The Handmaid's Tale, how did they get to Gilead? It was as a result of the war basically going differently, if that makes sense. Like if World War II had ended differently, and that's how they ended up. Those were like the steps that came to why they ended up with this whole system where now, you know, again, we're utilizing the Bible, and you know, they have handmaids because everybody's not fertile and all that. And you guys already know how I sort of said about that. So at the end of the day, history itself and what's going to happen, it's inevitable. Right? Because this is why Donald Trump's been irritating. Just a bro's on a power trip. He's the resting president. He's trying to take over. Like, just you have enough issues in the United States of America to be worrying about, rather than acquiring more land, and you're not even doing a good job with the country you're currently the president of. Like, what is this about? You know what I'm saying? And it's sad because, like, even when I'm coming from Zimbabwe, where I come from, right, which used to be called Rhodesia, right? After who? Cecil Rhodes. Who's Cecil Rhodes, by the way? A guy that came from, I think, here. Who L. Ron Hubbard, father of Scientology, believed that he was Cecil. He was the reincarnation of Cecil Rhodes, which is crazy. Cecil Rhodes comes to, which also L. Ron Hubbard wanted to make Zimbabwe the first Scientology country in the world. Cecil Rhodes is why, you know, Zimbabwe, Zambia, which happened to both come from, was called Rhodesia after himself. Now, I believe it was him. Here's where my history starts to get wobbly again. But there was a civil war, because when the movie Civil War came out, the Marvel movies, like, this is a long time ago. And my youngest brother was so young, and he used to call it Civil War. And I'm never going to let him forget. As long as I live. In Civil War, there was a Civil War, which my parents are also alive for, and stuff, right? They grew up in mainly Zimbabwe, and went to school. And again, it was this class system, kind of like Code Geass, where they were in B schools. There was B schools and A schools. I think they were the first ones to get the opportunity to go to A schools after the Civil War, because Robert Mugabe, right, was the one who fought against the Rhodesian, essentially I don't know if it was Rhodes himself, I don't know, it was whoever, but whoever was, they won, they fought back, they had to fight back, because of course there was this power trip happening where people had to extend. Ian Smith, was it Smith? Ian Smith? I don't know, but there was some dude coming from this country, right? Anyway. And at least that's my understanding. Guys, like I said, don't quote me. Exactly, because it's a lot of things. It's just too much to remember these days. And so he won, but then the problem became, right? So that's again the war, these things, the power struggles, whatever. Because that's why I'm also like, it's really funny for countries like the UK and the US to be talking about immigration at the moment, when you people could have left everybody alone. Like, you could have just stayed in your own lands, but no, we wanted to be conquerors and empires, and we wanted to go places. You wanted to come and collect my mother from Zimbabwe to come and work in your hospitals and all this stuff. You could have left people alone, but you didn't. You could have not gone and bought slaves from elsewhere, whatever. Point being, but then after he now is in power and whatnot, this is why there's people have mixed feelings about Robert Mugabe, because it's like, oh, well, he did free us, he did give us our own country, but then he also got caught up in greed. Not to mention the fact that a lot of countries in Africa, the reason they are not thriving the way that they could, because literally Africa is one of the one continents. Africa is a kind of continent that could exist without the rest of the world, because we just have everything there already. Everything we need to live and survive is already there. And we have a lot of things that the world wants as well. Like, what I'm saying, especially in places like Zimbabwe, where we had gold and diamonds, we got aluminium, we got lithium, we got copper. My own father used to work in the copper mines as a kid, right? We got a lot of stuff. We got animals. We got everything, mate. Here you go to the supermarkets, get a tiny little avocado. They're selling like a tiny two tiny avocados for like £2. There you'll be having an avocado tree in your garden, love, just like on an average day. And it'll be the size of your head. Like, it actually creeps me out when I see the tiny avocados. Can I just say that it really creeps me out? Because I'm like, what in the GMO is this? Like, but anywho, a lot of these leaders are just puppets of the West, right? They have these people that come from those countries. They come and study places like here or America, and then they get put into power and get helped and supported so they can be the little puppets of the West. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that nobody really talks about either. And then because these people are getting their pockets lined from the West, they pretty much will do whatever the West says at the detriment to their own country. And I'm just really bored of that as well. Can I just say that's another thing I'm bored in the house about? Bored in the house. I'm not okay, guys. I really don't think I'm okay. Can I tell you the truth? But anyway. So that's why. So I'm just like, there's so much I could add to this argument. There's so many things in other countries and other what have yous and whatevers, you know what I mean? Everybody wants a bit of power. They all want to extend their territories, or one person wants to go back. Because I believe Vladimir Putin, from what I understand, is kind of trying to go back to some history of whatever. And then you got forbidden the West doing whatever. I don't really know what the UK is doing. That's actually the thing that's kind of stressing me out. Right? Because I know you guys have heard of AUKUS. But it's a new coalition. Coalition is the wrong word here. It's a new, what do you call it? Alliance between AUKUS, Australia, UK, US, which is kind of funny because I don't know that America and Australia realize that these people are only loyal to themselves. Have you seen how they treated Europe? They were in the EU and they were operating as if they were single this whole time. They're going to do the same to you, but go ahead and make that decision for yourselves. I mean, that is so dumb. But then again, let's not forget that you're all kind of the same origin as well, isn't it? Well, the Royal Australians are very forgiving for having sent you being the prisoners that got kicked out. That's why they can handle all the kangaroos and the freaking tarantulas over there. Yeah, because they were the tough ones all sent there. Love Australia. I actually think Australians are so cool. Like, they really do. And then you have the Americans, you know what I mean? And so I don't know why they don't remember their history with the United Kingdom, why they would get involved. And I don't know why they're not paying attention to how these people treated the European Union. You know what I mean? But hey ho, do whatever you want to do in it. Everybody's got free will. On a serious note, I really do think something's going to happen. Like, I had a vision. I never told you guys about this. I had a vision and I just saw bombs going off. And then I saw two countries in particular. And I don't want to say which countries they were. This is months ago. Like, this might even be like a year ago now. I had a dream. I had a vision. And it was so extreme right? It was painfully loud. Like my ears were literally hurting because I just saw these bombs go off and it was so loud. Oh my gosh. So I was just like, right. And then also these conversations I was having with my friend, yeah. Because we would always be talking about like the politics in this country and like what's happening here, what's happening all over the world. He would tell me about certain things about world history that I didn't know. And we were both sharing history knowledge and all this knowledge. And we're both like, and one thing we both always used to look at each other like, we don't get, like, we always say like how we could just not understand how people in this country are just walking around as if like war isn't potentially very imminent and they're just going on with their days. And neither of us could get it. And like, I was so grateful to actually have somebody to talk to about that. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, thank you for like actually like reminds me that I'm actually not crazy for thinking that this is going to happen. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go. I feel really tired, but I don't want to go to sleep, guys. I'm trying to avoid sleeping. I don't care at all costs because, you know, it just doesn't end well. Anyway, I'm going to have to sleep eventually, aren't I? Anyway, that's what I have to say. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. I've just been thinking like, it's inevitable. Like, inevitably, there's going to be war. Like, at some point in the nearest future. Like, it's inevitable because somebody's going to upset somebody else enough. Someone's going to push too far. Someone's going to look for too much power. Somebody's going to get carried away. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's all just about power and maintaining power. It's not really about anything else. And that's another reason why I can't be bothered to talk to anybody about, none of this racism, classism, thisism. Nobody really hates you. Like, they might think they're better. And here's something I'm going to say that's going to ruffle some feathers. In a way, they are. Like, if you got conquered, there's a reason they don't teach about American independence in the UK schools. There's a reason. Americans said, we're conceded. We got a reason. We got a reason. Like, low key. Is it a safe space? Obviously not. So, of course, they're going to do that. Yeah. Like, of course, there's certain things that are a little strategic. Yeah. I learned about all the Tudors, the Victorians, the British Empire, the slaves. You know what I mean? You don't want to talk about all the emperors and empresses and all the things of African history. You don't want to talk about how powerful we were, how Zimbabwe used to be the breadbasket of Africa. We used to have one of the 7 wonders of the world. So you want to talk about how we got all the gold and the diamonds and the aluminiums and the lithiums all growing in our land. You don't want to talk about that. Yeah, you won. And what I have to say is all of us just need to learn our lesson. To be prepared for the worst. You see why? Do you want to know my really controversial opinion of this whole stuff about why, you know, people actually have been able to come to Africa and actually like conquer things? It's because we ain't really need to bother nobody because we already had so much going on. And people had to come bother us because they didn't have enough happening where they were. Know what I'm saying? Not everybody, but some. One thing I've realized is the people that are the most obsessed with conquering are the people who actually have the most, who naturally have the least. Like this country. It's tiny. Do you know that it takes 24 hours, one day only, to drive from the bottom of England to the top of Scotland? That is the longest distance you could travel in this country. In this kingdom, United Kingdom so-called. One day. And that bewildered me because one day I was watching this girl's video and she was driving from, I think, Pennsylvania to, was it California? Was it Pennsylvania? I think so. It took them 4 days. They did stop over and stuff. And it was insane to me because being in Africa again, when I was last there in 2018, we drove like across the border just to go from like Zimbabwe to Zambia. And that was a very long car trip. And we were just crossing over borders and then we drove through the country. We drove to the top of Zambia. It took a long time. And it made me really think about the vastness of this entire continent. And the whole world was terrorized by these little pipsqueaks. Here. The whole world was terrorized. It's almost as if the people most desperate for power were the people with the least to actually offer. Know what I'm saying? This is why when you come to these Western countries, they're all talking about, oh, you can go and study archaeology in Egypt. What are you doing? Why are you the ones in archaeology in Egypt? And why do you guys have a special access? Have your own hieroglyphs. Have your own things. So anyway, it's inevitable. Especially because there's been weakenings of powers. I mean, like, I can't lie. America, love you guys so much, yeah? It's a horror show over there. It's a joke. You know, it's a joke. It used to be like, so, you know, people used to really look like a superpower. You know, really did. And maybe that was always a facade. Those days are over. Hate to have to be the one to tell ya. I don't have to. Those days are over. Yeah. Over here, the country in the world I think would suffer the most in the face of another world war is actually this one. Because the people are still living in like the what you call it, the glory of yesteryear, of being, you know, the colonizers who went around the British Empire, right? They live in a false sense of security. In other countries, they might not be as developed, right? But that's just a Western way of thinking also. Because as I've said before, it's all these weapons. It's always the weakest people who are the most obsessed with the weapons. Some of us, if the whole world going to a fist fight, who do you think's winning? Who do you think is going to win if the whole world gets into a fist fight? I can assure you this country will be at the bottom of the leaderboard. At the bottom of the leaderboard. And you all be crying out like, guys, remember we were once upon... So I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is I feel like this is the worst place I could possibly be in the event of World War III. And yet here I am. But where would I go? Because there ain't no leader I believe in. The heck? So, yeah. At least not from anywhere I'm from. So, there's that. You know what I mean? Well, no, actually, even still. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go. I keep wondering why I feel sick. And it's because I've drunk so much coffee. Duh. I feel like, ugh. This is why I don't drink coffee. Why am I drinking coffee in this country? No wonder. Because I feel a bit just like, where is this coming from? Should have known. I should have known better. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the funeral. Who knows what's going to be in the next video? Yeah, I've lost it. We've lost the plot here. Let's just... Life's the game is paid to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I will see you in my next one.